What's up everybody, Michael here and welcome to another video. I hope you're doing great, and today we're gonna have a look at what I think are the best Bicolor options for YouTube videos and general filmmaking. We're gonna have a special focus on the Lupo Movielight 300 Dual Color Pro that recently came out and compare it to the big dogs, you know, the Aputures and the Nanlites of this world. Now, full disclosure at this point, Lupo sent me this light for the review. Thank you very much, grazie mille, I suppose. But of course, Lupo doesn't get to say anything about this review. My opinion is my own, no money changed hands, you know the drill. The 5 categories we're going to compare today are build quality, light output, light quality, features, and the user interface of the fixture. When it comes to the build quality, both Aputure and Nanlite are using a combination of metal and carbon fiber. Lupo is taking a different approach here. The whole body of the Movielight consists of polymer, which is a really durable and strong plastic. Lupo actually claims to have a better shock resistance in case you drop the light. Now, in my opinion, shock or drop resistance is not that important because, let's face it, lights are not built to be dropped.
The key advantage of a polymer over a metal construction is probably the reduction of overall weight. Of course, in a studio environment this doesn't really matter too much, but as soon as you're going, let's say, on a remote shoot and you have to carry the fixture around with you, you will notice the difference, especially compared to a Aputure 300X. From a form factor perspective, the most unique thing about the Movielight is definitely that the AC unit and the fixture have been combined together. This results in an overall smaller footprint of the fixture and is, in my opinion, a big advantage over the other two. In order to mount the fixture through a tripod, you have a very big yoke mount, and on the side you can adjust the tilt angle and fix it with a traditional screwing mechanism. It's a very similar approach to what Aputure is doing on their 300X.
In my opinion, the best overall build quality and idea is going to Nanlite because I simply prefer their rosette type mount that they have on the yoke tilt. Now, the problem for me with the design of Lupo and especially Aputure is that they use pressure-based mounting on the yoke instead of the actual rosette biting in mechanically and locking. I personally used an Aputure 300D Mark II, the daylight version, and about 9 months into the use, the whole yoke system actually broke and wasn't usable anymore because of the pressure situation just being too big to handle a big softbox. What I like about the Lupo design is at least that they have an open design. The yoke is freely accessible and you could in theory replace the rubber part easily. Let's talk about light output. Light output is probably most important when you're shooting outside, and this is where things get really interesting. As always, I use the trusted Sekonic C800 to measure the light quality and output. Now, something that's really interesting when you compare the Lupo against the Nanlite and Aputure is the design of the COB, or rather, what's in front of it. So Lupo put a piece of silicone in front of the chip that would result into a tighter beam angle, 85 degrees to be precise. And I was really curious about that, and I wrote Lupo like, what's up with the silicone? Am I too dumb to remove this, or is this there by design? And they told me, no, that's there by design because traditional chips, they have about 120 degrees of a beam angle, and a lot of this light in most use cases will actually get lost, you know, like straight to an angle where you cannot use it to point light at something. However, when you use a softbox, and we will see this in a second, this can be a disadvantage, but the cool thing about the Movielight is that you can easily disassemble the silicone piece that's in front of the chip and use it like any other fixture.
When you measure the bare bulb light output of all the fixtures, you can clearly see that the Movielight is way ahead in pretty much any light temperature. But of course that has a lot to do with the silicon piece that is installed in front of its chip. But once you put in my case, 120 cm softbox in front of it, you can see that the more narrow light output is kind of a disadvantage of the Movielight over the other two. To make up for this, the Movielight has a function inside where you can move the COB forward and backward a little bit to adjust it better to your light modifier of your choice. I really like that, and it's a clever mechanism.
All overall, with the light output, I would give the Nanlite Forza the first place simply because it has the second highest output without a reflector and with a reflector, and the highest output with a softbox. That being said, all of the fixtures are bright enough for most applications, so I wouldn't take this as a killer criterion in making your buying decision. These days, most light manufacturers in this price range have very decent and sometimes even excellent light quality. I went on to measure the CRI, the TLCI, the SSI, daylight and tungsten, and the CCI of these fixtures. And I have to say, especially regarding CRI and TLCI, there is almost no measurable difference between the three of them. There's really no big difference, except when it comes to SSI and CCI, where the aperture is slightly better than the two other fixtures. What I generally noticed though is that the Lupo has a slight green shift, the Nanlite has a very slight green shift, and in some moments the Aputure actually had a magenta shift. But now obviously this is something that will change over the lifetime of your LED, and I don't think this is a killer criterion, especially with the very good values that we have at hand from all the three fixtures. If we're nitpicking though, and I think at this price point we should, the first place for light quality should go to Aputure, followed by Lupo and Nanlite as a tie. All of these three fixtures have a really wide span of color temperature, it's pretty much the same on all of them. They also come with built-in effects, you know, the usual suspects like strobe, TV bat bulb, explosion, and so on and so forth. I personally don't see myself using these effects too often, but of course it's always great to have this option. Also, all the fixtures have DMX control as well as wireless options, and every manufacturer has their own dedicated app. Of course, you can also use all the three fixtures with AC and with battery solutions, so all the options are there. But one thing that sets the Movielight apart from the other two is the unique powering features. With the Lupo Movielight 300 Dual Color Pro, you don't need an extra AC unit. This is built in straight under the fixture. This means way less cables, way more compact form factor, and especially I think in studio use this is really cool because you can also daisy chain multiple Movielights together because they have a power in and a power out. To me this is very welcome because less cables mean less opportunities to stumble over and also less opportunities for broken cables, right? When it comes to the physical user interface of the fixtures, this is definitely where the Movielight has probably its biggest weakness. Having used both the kick-ass panel and the Movielight, this is a general theme it seems to be with Lupo, that the user interface is just not good. The menu system is awkward and confusing to use, and it really seems dated compared to the offerings from Nanlite and Aputure. Now to me this is not a complete deal breaker because I am not constantly changing values and fiddling around with the settings, but it's very annoying actually. The probably objectively best user interface of the three fixtures is definitely the one from Nanlite. You have really easily accessible knobs that feel good to control, and it makes the whole user experience fast and convenient. Now Aputure's take on the user interface is not bad either, however I don't like their rotating disc knobs because it makes adjusting values just a little bit harder. So since these fixtures are very similar in output, features and quality, we should probably look at the pricing. As of the making of this video, Nanlite has a crazy $200 discount, making their Forza 300 Bicolor a steal. The offerings from Aputure and Lupo are both similarly priced, but if you go with Lupo and want all the accessories that come by default with the Aputure, you actually have to spend $100 more. I guess that leads us to the almost $1,000 question: which of these lights should you buy? If you need a very compact and lightweight setup, the Movielight is definitely the way to go. The fact that you don't need an AC unit and you only have one cable coming from your fixture is just incredible. If you want the most bang for the buck, there is clearly no discussion, Nanlite is the way to go. In my opinion, it's also the most fast and convenient fixture to use if you use it without an app and without DMX. The strongest argument for the Aputure 300X is probably that it is the most well-known brand and that it has a great ecosystem built around their lights. Everything works together nicely and beautifully. Personally, I'm a bit torn between the offerings from Lupo and Nanlite. You have the very unique form factor on the one hand and the incredible price point on the other hand, and that's a very hard decision to make. Don't get me wrong, Aputure is really great, and you pretty much can't go wrong with one of their products. But the 300X, in my opinion, doesn't really have a very strong unique selling point that would set it apart from the other fixtures. It's just really damn solid. So if portability, price point, and a well-known brand are not deciding factors for you, you pretty much can't go wrong with either of the three fixtures. If you liked this video, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed, left a comment down below what you think about the offerings of the three manufacturers, and a thumbs up. Until then guys, keep creating, and I see you in the next video. Cut!